crowded naval training facility. A female SEAL candidate is publicly mocked, cornered, and pushed toward humiliation during a live evaluation meant to break her. The room laughs until she speaks 5 calm words that flip power instantly. By the end of the day, careers are over, reputations erased, and the quiet woman they underestimated becomes untouchable. Before we begin, where are you watching from today? And if stories about silent strength, honor, and justice matter to you, please subscribe. The first insult landed like a blade. It wasn't shouted. It didn't need to be. It was delivered with a smile sharp enough to cut bone, in a room that smelled of bleach, damp canvas, and old bravado. A room designed to break people. She stood at the center of it, boots planted, shoulders squared, pulse steady, while the laughter rippled outward in soft, approving waves. Someone said she didn't belong. Someone else added that she was a liability. A third voice, louder, crueler, wrapped the words in mock concern and suggested they were all wasting time letting her stand there at all. The danger wasn't physical yet. It was something older and more lethal. Public erasure, reputation execution. The kind that ends careers before they begin. The female SEAL candidate did not blink. Her name was Mara Voss. She had learned long ago that silence could be a weapon, if wielded with discipline. She kept her eyes level, breathing measured, jaw relaxed. She let the mockery wash past her like cold water, noting who laughed, who looked away, who stayed silent. A clipboard slapped against a palm. Someone stepped closer, invading her space just enough to test her. Smile, a voice said. You should be grateful we're even letting you try. The injustice hung there, thick and public. This was a sanctioned evaluation. Official. Recorded supposedly, yet the cameras were angled away. The rules bent like wet wire. Mara felt the familiar heat behind her sternum. Not anger. Resolve. She had survived worse rooms than this. Still, the shock for the viewer, if anyone had been watching, would have been immediate. A woman in uniform, surrounded by men who had already decided her fate, treated as spectacle instead of soldier. The danger was not that she might fail. The danger was that they wanted her to. She said nothing, and that silence made them bolder. They circled her with words, each one designed to provoke a crack. A tear, a raised voice they could mark as weakness. The room smelled faintly of sweat and ozone, the aftermath of earlier drills. Her palms felt the rough grain of the wooden table behind her as someone leaned in too close. Tell us, one of them said softly, what makes you think you're special? Mara lifted her chin a fraction. Her eyes were steady, not defiant, not pleading, waiting. Because the moment hadn't arrived yet. Mara Voss had not grown up believing she was special. She grew up near the coast, where mornings tasted like salt and rusted iron, and nights were stitched together by the low hum of boats returning late. Her father worked the docks until his back gave out. Her mother kept a house that smelled of soap and lemon oil, and taught Mara early that strength was quiet and continuous, like tide against stone. Mara learned endurance before she learned ambition. She learned to listen more than speak, to watch hands instead of mouths, to measure people by what they did when no one applauded. The military was never a rebellion for her. It was a calling shaped by loss. When she was 19, a neighbor's son, older, kind, always whistling, was killed overseas. The flag folded at his funeral had been placed in his mother's shaking hands with rehearsed solemnity. Mara watched the woman's face collapse inward, watched the community's attention fade after the last chair was stacked. That was when Mara understood the weight of service. Not glory. Weight. She enlisted with that understanding and carried it through every stage of training. She did not stand out by being loud. She stood out by never quitting. Her body bore the evidence, scar tissue mapped along her ribs from a fast, rope burn gone wrong, a knee that ached when rain threatened, hands permanently roughened by rope and steel. She slept lightly, woke faster, and learned to find calm in chaos. Selection was not kind to anyone. It was designed that way. But there was a difference between hardship and hostility. Mara noticed it early. The jokes that landed sideways, the tests that were, accidentally, harder for her, the way failure was assumed before she even started. She answered all of it with consistency. Passed what was put in front of her. Outlasted expectations. What they didn't know, what they couldn't see, was her other strength. Mara had been a recorder long before she was a fighter. She observed patterns, noted deviations, remembered names and dates and tones of voice. She had learned that systems reveal themselves to those patient enough to watch. And she had learned, through a mentor who believed in preparation over confrontation to protect herself quietly. There were losses too. A teammate during advanced training, gone in a night accident that never made the news. A relationship that couldn't survive long silences and longer absences. Letters written and never sent. All of it had honed her. So when she stood in that evaluation room, hearing men reduce her to a problem to be managed, she did not feel small. She felt ready. The evaluation continued, though it had stopped being professional minutes ago. Tasks were reassigned mid-execution. Instructions contradicted each other. Failures were announced loudly, successes acknowledged with grudging nods. Each small injustice layered upon the last, a slow grind meant to wear her down. Mara complied. She followed every order precisely as given. She documented everything internally, like notches on an invisible ledger. She noticed the way one senior evaluator avoided eye contact. She noticed another's hand shake slightly when he laughed too hard. Bystanders filled the room, other candidates, junior officers, administrative staff. Most stared straight ahead. A few watched with discomfort. None intervened. The tension escalated in subtle steps. A comment here. A shove disguised as correction there. A remark about standards that somehow only applied to her. Still, Mara did not speak. Her silence became a mirror, reflecting their behavior back at them. It unsettled them. Say something? One of them finally snapped. Defend yourself. Mara looked at him then, really looked. She saw insecurity wrapped in authority, ego armored with rank. She smelled stale coffee on his breath, felt the air shift as others leaned in. This was the moment they expected her to break. Instead, she reached slowly into her pocket and withdrew a small, scuffed notebook, not in defiance, not in drama, simply as if checking a time. That tiny gesture landed like thunder. The laughter faltered. Someone cleared their throat. She did not open the notebook. She didn't need to. The lead evaluator stepped forward, voice tight. Put that away. Mara met his eyes. Calm, unmoved. This was the final escalation, the point of no return. They could still stop, apologize, reset. They didn't. He leaned closer and said something that crossed from cruelty into policy violation. Something specific, personal, designed to humiliate. The room went very still. Mara inhaled once, and then she spoke. Record everything. Call the inspector. Flat, controlled, not loud, not angry. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. Color drained from faces. The room seemed to shrink as if the walls themselves were listening. Someone knocked over a chair. Another person's hand went instinctively to a radio they suddenly remembered was live. Because Mara hadn't been bluffing. The evaluations were recorded. Redundantly. Automatically. A safeguard few remembered existed. And fewer remembered she had helped design during an earlier assignment, back when her attention to systems had been praised instead of mocked. The inspector she referenced wasn't distant. He was on site. Silence, once her shield, became their prison. The investigation moved with a speed that shocked those who had relied on inertia to protect them. Footage was reviewed. Audio isolated. Timelines reconstructed. Witnesses interviewed, some reluctantly, some with visible relief. Patterns emerged. Not just about Mara, but about others before her. Careers unraveled quietly. No shouting, no spectacle. Just notices issued, clearances suspended, commendations rescinded, names removed from doors. Mara was asked to continue training while the process unfolded. She did. Same discipline, same silence. The atmosphere changed around her. Respect replaced mockery. Eye contact returned. Apologies came, some sincere, some stiff with fear. She accepted none of them publicly. On the day the findings were announced, the room filled again. This time no laughter. Only stillness. Mara stood at the back, observing. An official statement was read, violations acknowledged, corrective measures outlined, accountability named. When it ended, something unexpected happened. People stood, not all at once, not dramatically, one by one. A quiet ripple of recognition, of shame, of respect earned the hard way. Mara felt a tightening in her chest then, not triumph, but something closer to release. She did not smile. Later, alone, she opened her notebook and wrote a single line. A habit she kept after every turning point. Silence works when it's backed by truth. She went on to complete selection. To serve with distinction. To protect others the way she had protected herself, not with noise, but with preparation. Her story did not become legend because of the 5 words. It became legend because she knew when to use them. Some battles aren't won by shouting. Some injustices collapse under the weight of quiet truth. and some heroes don't announce themselves until the moment it matters most. If this story moved you, share where you're watching from, leave your thoughts below, and subscribe for more stories that honor silent strength and unseen courage.